Yo, guys, how is everybody? Welcome in to Rover Sports, the show. And I hope you guys can hear me decently well. This is the end. This is the end of the New England Patriots dynasty. And Bill Belichick he's over. It's effing over. Okay. Guys, Josh Allen is absolutely a magician at the quarterback position. And I'm going to wait till you guys kind of come in here, but I have a running theory right now that essentially I have a running theory that Bill Belichick is basically the next. I have a theory that Bill Belichick is basically the next Greg Popovich, that he is archaic. He doesn't know what to do because the game has passed him by. And Josh Allen, this running quarterback, the new NFL, where you don't just line up and run the ball, Bill Belichick realizes he doesn't have it. And it's like the San Antonio Spurs. When the Spurs did not have three-point shooters, they could not adapt to the NBA that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors created. And you look at what Patrick Mahomes has created in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is like the Steph Curry of the NFL. He changed the game forever. And now Josh Allen is another one of these guys that can run the ball, can throw the ball. You can't defend for 7 seconds. And Josh Allen this year, the way that he's playing the game tonight, I think that Josh Allen is the MVP of this league. But also the important thing to notice is that the New England Patriots, or that Brian Daboll mind screwed us last year, Brian Daboll. Because you know what happened is that Brian Daboll last year, he would throw Josh Allen 50 times a game. And you're thinking, what the hell is Brian Daboll doing? He never runs the ball with Devin Singletary. It's almost like with basically like that the Bills were just sacrificing throwing the game away. You didn't know what you were watching, them throwing the ball 50 times a game. And it's because they were practicing for this year. They were getting Josh Allen reps almost like it was a training camp session with him throwing the ball for 50 times last year, and then you'd see Allen be inefficient or he'd miss throws or throw interceptions. It was like a training ground last year. It was like basically going to a range. And that's what happened. And for Bill Belichick, he doesn't have the quarterback anymore to compete. He picked these wide receivers. The NFL is a glamour game. It's all about passing now. You don't have to have a running back. They have Devin Singletary and Zach Moss as their running backs. That's the point. They have Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. And the Bills, you know how the Bills are used to winning games? With old, archaic pocket passers in the league. Look at the rivals that Bill Belichick beat. It was Big Ben Roethlisberger. It was David Gerard. Look at the guy. It was Phillip Rivers. It's Peyton Manning. It's these old pocket passers with the same pro-style offense. Bill Belichick has never had to go against a Brian Daboll-led offense with Josh Allen, a spread attack, or a Lamar Jackson, or a Patrick Mahomes. The New England Patriots have never had to do that. And now how spread out the game is, how you can't be physical, this game is all about offense. You look at the Bills' defense, they were dog crap at the beginning, dog shit at the beginning of the year. You know, they were giving up 34 points a game. They were getting sliced and diced. And I told you guys not to worry about the Bills' defense because I knew that they'd come around and figure it out. It's the same with Alabama football. Alabama and Nick Saban gave up 60 points to Ole Miss, 25 points to Texas A&M, but they figured it out. Because Nick Saban said he was right. He's like, defense is dead. And I wonder if Bill Belichick is going to figure out that defense is dead and that he has to basically adapt and go super uncomfortable. And something that's worked for 20 years, which is an old pocket passer and running the football, how that's not going to work now in this NFL, that they're going to have to get a souped up quarterback, like a running quarterback. And he was right. when Bill Belichick said he wanted Jalen Hurts last year, I was like, are you kidding me? He can't throw the ball. But the NFL, just like this, has changed. And Brandon Beane and Brian Daboll have been on the cutting edge of this innovation to the NFL, and they have been 3 steps ahead of the Patriots. They've tricked Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick, basically, if you watch the end of that game, he was crying to the coach of the Bills, Sean McDermott. He had the longest embrace you'll ever see Belichick have, because he admitted, because Belichick's a good man. Belichick admitted, hey, bro, you got me. That's what he said. Because the Bills have been building this thing, and they've had to be patient. I mean, look at the game in Houston. Josh Allen was a mess in that game in Houston. He was up and down. He's been up and down throughout his career. Going into this year, it was a prove-it year. You know, people were taking Wentz over Allen before this year. Allen was a middle tier quarterback. You know, Allen was like in the top 12 with Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr. He was in that range. And he's leaped over this year to becoming an MVP quarterback. He's handled Stephon Diggs and all of the drama that Diggs might deal with. Instead of, you look at Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham, and it was a disaster with a star wide receiver, but Allen is mature enough to really handle superstar receivers. Diggs has been phenomenal on and off the field. So Diggs is maybe just a special, unselfish guy. And yeah, that's the thing about a wide receiver, is that when you play with Kirk Cousins compared to Allen, it's pretty amazing. And go back to the offseason. People were thinking that people were making fun of Diggs because they're saying, you're going to bitch about Kirk Cousins. You're going to bitch about Cousins when you have to go to the most inaccurate quarterback in the NFL. You're going to want to attack Josh Allen. You're going to be subtweeting Josh Allen when he throws it 10 feet over your head. I'm old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember people making fun of the draft pick of Josh Allen. Oh, he's from Wyoming. He can throw. The Senior Bowl when Josh Allen couldn't hit a 5-yard target. And I forgive fans that were like, I wanted Josh Rosen, because I thought Rosen would be all right. I always was a Team Allen guy, but hey, I think the Bills fans gave Josh a chance, and I don't think they ran him out of town. And I think that it was an absolutely amazing, amazing game. Exactly. There are so many haters still making fun of Stephon Diggs for going to Buffalo. That's what they said. That's what they said just 6 months ago. So the same people that are going to be congratulating Josh Allen, that's the point, is that, by the way, when Josh Allen, if he ever were to lose in the playoffs, all those haters would come out. Because all the people said that Sam Darnold was a better quarterback than Josh Allen, and they're having trouble admitting that their take is aging poorly. When a take of mine is not that good, I try to say, you know what, you're right. And then people will say, oh, Spencer, you get everything wrong all the time. You know what? I think that the Bills defense, when you play, Sabrina, that's a great question. Why was the Bills defense struggling at the beginning of the year? When you play a style where your offense is running plays quick tempo and you're scoring quickly, your defense is going to suck in terms of your numbers because you're playing this fast brand of football. You look at the Patriots defense, and they're playing with an old running offense, and their defense metrically, statistically, is going to look better than the Bills because they're playing old, let's chew up the entire clock by running the ball and playing boring ball control offense. But so the thing is, when you're on a roller coaster, your offense is a roller coaster. When you're on a roller coaster, you're going to get rolled. So when you're on a roller coaster, guess what? When you're scoring in 3 plays in 1 minute, the defense is going to get tired. And also, Sean McDermott, he knows that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So he rested his defense a little bit. And you got to peak at the right time defensively. You can't, peak too early, okay? I always say peak too early. That's the point. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, right? McDermott, William and Mary coach, Tomlin, I think that McDermott had more foresight and let's call off the dogs right now, let the defense hunt at the right time. Josh Clark, exactly, man. And by the way, doing a Josh Allen film review is almost dumb at this point. He's so damn good. I thought Josh Allen would be great. I never knew he'd be the greatest quarterback, that I've ever seen. One of the best, him and Mahomes. And he's an unbelievable quarterback, and he's doing it with a terrible cast of weapons. You have Cole Beasley, who's a slot receiver, who's Adam Humphries. He's doing it with Adam Humphries. He's doing it with Ted Ginn and Adam Humphries, basically. And he's doing it with a running back that is terrible, or running backs that are bottom 20 in the league. Okay. John Brown is a journeyman receiver. Okay. He's basically Kiki QT. He's nothing close to Tyler Lockett. And it's insane. And Cole Beasley is Ferd and Beasley. He's a slot receiver. Okay. And Josh Allen is doing miracles. Okay. And Brian Dable too. Last year, he would never run the ball, and you're thinking, what the hell is wrong with this football team? What the heck are they doing? Where are they? What are they doing? And it's because they were mind screwing the Patriots. They were mind effing the Patriots. Let me slow this part down of the rant. The Buffalo Bills mind effed Bill Belichick. They sent him back to Siberia. Bill Belichick is absolutely screwed right now because he knows he does not have a quarterback that can compete in this NFL. He knows, okay? No matter how good of a coach are, Bill Belichick is like, holy crap, the NFL has changed all around me and I've became the old man at the birthday party who has no friends. Bill Belichick right now, you know what Bill Belichick is like? He's like the guy in high school, gets all the girls. The guy in college, the star football player, he drinks, the fraternity party's bopping, all right? He has cocaine and weed, and he's drinking, and he's having sex with all the hot girls, okay? Whatever. If you're offended by the girl stuff or by all the hot girl stuff, okay? But then he's the cool guy in high school, whatever you define cool as. He's the cool guy in college. And then Bill Belichick comes back 3 years later, and he's like, yo, what's up, guys? How you doing? And it's crickets. It's crickets. Because basically now Bill Belichick loved to listen to rock music. He liked to listen to Creed and Nickelback. He would listen to Young Jock and stuff. And now the kids are all like, dude, what are you doing? We're all about techno music now. We're all about music that has no lyrics. And Bill Belichick's like, let's listen to Eminem and stuff. And he's out of touch. Okay? Look at Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson. Look at Greg Popovich in the NBA right now when he goes up against Steve Kerr. Who's a better coach, Steve Kerr or Greg Popovich? But the point is that he couldn't adapt. You can't get your players. And look at this shirt here. It's an Alabama shirt. If Belichick was in college, he would just simply recruit Josh Allen. He would simply recruit. But in the NFL, you can't build your roster. So Bill Belichick is going to age so poorly. Brady's going to retire, and then you're going to look at Bill Belichick, and you're going to think Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches ever. But if Belichick's around for 10 more years, Josh Allen might slap him around silly for 10 more years. That's the point. And that's the point about the way that this thing is working, because it's so hard to build your roster. So for Bill Belichick, who's just about 65 now, does Bill Belichick want to go Trey Lance? And does Bill Belichick want to adopt to the modern NFL? Because defensively, the dude still got it. But point is, I watched Daniel Jones. I watched these quarterbacks, and Brandon Beane and some of these guys were ahead of me on this whole thing of this mobility stuff. You know, you look at Dwayne Haskins, why he's failing. I brought up Dwayne Haskins. He's a really good thrower of the ball. Okay, he has a quick release. He was great at Ohio State, accurate. Yeah, maturity-wise, I thought he was a guy who was, put it this way, very confident in himself throughout the draft process. I said that sort of thing. And again, it wasn't as obvious as the things that you're seeing right now. Now the whole world is slamming Haskins, so I'm not going to do it, okay? But the point is, Haskins, in terms of a playing style, is a pocket passer. That's archaic. You have to be at least Justin Herbert mobile-like if you're going to have a chance. You can't guard somebody for 9 seconds because Josh Allen, Mahomes, these guys are just too good. When you have a quarterback like Josh Allen and Mahomes, your defense can be, it's becoming an individualized sport. Football is. It's becoming an offensive, individualized game. It is. And it's a little sad because I love team sports, and I would love watching the game of football because of the team aspect. And because you look at John Gruden, and the Raiders roster is really good. They run the football. The Dolphins, the same thing. Really good roster, running the ball and everything. But I'll tell you what, if you don't have the elite of the elite level quarterback, if you don't have this modern offense, I don't even know how you're gonna compete anymore. And it's insane. And the new old school is basically what the Ravens are doing, which is running the ball in the middle of the field, because the Ravens are actually throwback. They've taken it back to the 1960s, but in an incredible kind of way. And I did support Allen from day one, and feels good. I mean, Top Streams, you're a Josh Allen fan too. Josh Allen still takes all this shit from the national media. And when Josh Allen, if he loses a playoff game, whether it be in the AFC title game, they're going to make fun of him. If Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions, even in the dang Super Bowl, if Josh Allen beat Mahomes but lost to Aaron Rodgers and threw a game-losing pick, they would call him Jimmy Garoppolo, and they'd call him a one-year wonder. That's the thing. And even though I said Lamar Jackson wouldn't be that good, I can admit last year was such a special year. And the team is 13-3. I mean, it has been an epic success. I mean, what are you more judged by, the regular season, or are you judged by a one-game scenario in the playoffs? It's almost like getting a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and then you're like the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and you're constantly losing in the Elite Eight. You're known as chokers, but you're getting a 1 seed every single year. So some people, and you know what it is, Sports Dom and Top Streams, you know what it is that, and thanks for Mizzou Sports and Scottzilla and Awesomeness Sports, everybody watching. You know what it is that these guys at the big networks, they get paid a ton of money to just pretty much invoke our reactions, to pretty much, try to get us frustrated or try to, invoke real reactions. And they have to stay in their trench that's the thing. They're not going to adapt because they get paid. They get paid to stay in their trench. Josh Allen's not that good of a quarterback. And they get paid for when Josh Allen plays a really good game. Nick Wright's like, oh my God. Oh, it's just one game. Mahomes is still going to beat him. It was against the Patriots. They're acting. They're acting, and they're doing this. They're getting paid, and they're smart. They could argue sports, but again, their network is telling them to do this. They're making a living for their family. They're millionaires. I totally get it. I totally get the style. Guess what? If I went to that network, it would be some hard-fought conversations about that kind of stuff. So, you know what I mean? And the point is, Sam Darnold is California. He's USC. He's sponsored by Nike. He's sponsored by these things. Josh Allen's from rural California. He's up there in NorCal, kind of like Fresno. It's very different than Orange County up in Fireball. I'm just saying that, but I believe that full-heartedly. So, Alex Sports is here. And, I mean, MCE, the thing is with the Patriots, I'm not sure because they are now in purgatory. If they don't get Trey Lance in this draft, where are the Patriots going to get a quarterback that can beat the Buffalo Bills? Where is that going to happen? Now, maybe Brian Daboll leaves Buffalo, and could Ken Dorsey continue to reinstate this offense? Who the heck knows? And can Josh Allen keep this level of consistency, or is he going to be Cam Newton? Because Cam Newton had a really, really good career, but he was not the elite of the elite. He was not unbelievable like Brett Favre, Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a good quarterback. He's worth the number 1 pick, but he kind of fell off as his career got older. Now, Josh is less of a running quarterback, but could Josh Allen do this year in and year out's the next thing, because the ceiling is amazing. Maybe he can win a Super Bowl this year. This is as good as it's going to get, this opportunity. And if I'm the Bills, seriously, I'm letting the Miami Dolphins beat me at home, because you don't want to face the Ravens. Don't be stupid. You know, you look at Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears. They were so stupid. They beat Kirk Cousins and the Vikings when they could have played a choker in Kirk Cousins, and instead they played Doug Peterson and Nick Foles, that are really known for putting together awesome playoff performances. It would be stupid as all get out for the Bills to play the Ravens in the first round. The Bills need to win. Who cares where that game is in Pittsburgh? It's a neutral site. There's no fans there. You want to play Tua right now. He's 6 feet tall. He's not moving very well. He's not playing good ball. And these weapons are not good for Tua right now. You're getting Tua in year one. And I'm preaching patience with Tua. I think he could be a very efficient, good quarterback at this level. I'm not selling Tua at all. But this Dolphins team is inexperienced. They don't have good offense at all. The receivers are not good. They have no deep threats at all. Lamar Jackson has playoff experience. He's an MVP-type quarterback. He's the same as Mahomes was last year. He's at peak of powers right now. Mahomes last year had this up and down season, okay? They got the number 2 seed. And Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are getting red hot. You lose next year. Or you figure out a way. How can they play Miami? Let's figure this thing out. And it's crazy. Stephon Diggs, it's actually funny. In one of my fantasy leagues, I had Diggs against Josh Allen, so they kind of canceled themselves out. But Diggs, unbelievable. And Alex, you might have been up by like 25. And Scott Zilla, you might have been up big as well. I'm not sure, actually, because Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, I think that defense can get after Baker. Tua, you can get after. Big Ben, you'll get after. It's just, I believe that the Ravens and the Bills right now, if I had to give a top 3, it's the Ravens and the Bills. And that would be devastating to not even win a playoff game. So how could you avoid the Baltimore Ravens? Is this possible? I'm going to have to look up the standings right now to figure out a way in which the Bills, because it doesn't matter if you have to go to Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter if you have to go to Pittsburgh and travel to Heinz Field. You've won there last year, and again, there's 0 fans that are going to be there. It's a neutral site, and you get to play Big Ben. You cannot play Lamar Jackson in round 1. And by the way, if you want to play Derrick Henry round 1, yeah, that would suck, but at least you get Ryan Tannehill. All right? So, again, I kind of just talk about all the NFL. So let's see about the AFC standings right now. So the Ravens 10-5, the Browns and the Steelers. So I'm not really sure how that's all going to work. The Dolphins, they're going to be tied. It's tiebreaker scenario. So I don't know. I didn't know basically that these teams are all tied up. So the tiebreaker scenario is going to be absolutely wild. And Nushtar, welcome into the show, man. Alex is a loyal supporter. I'm a New York Giants fan first and foremost, absolutely. But I try to talk about broad NFL, broad college football, pretty much. And it's great to have you here. I appreciate you, tuning into the show. I really do. This has been an absolutely wild night. It's a changing of the guard. I mean, Bill Belichick throwing the phone on the sidelines. He's lost it. He realizes that Sean McDermott mind-effed Bill Belichick. It's been years of Brandon Beane and this vision, and it took a huge risk for them to take Josh Allen and then for them to get these wide receivers and play this modern brand of football. It's genius. It's genius. And they outsmarted the greatest to ever do it in Bill Belichick. And for the Patriots, they are in purgatory now because Belichick's good enough to win. Their defense is good enough to win some games, but they're not good enough to get the best of the best quarterback. And maybe what I would do if I were the New England Patriots is I would sell my next 3-round picks, my next 3 first-round picks, and go up from number 13 to number 3 in order to select Trey Lance, because they need the mobile, big-armed quarterback. Because you look at Trey Lance, he's absolutely an elite runner of the ball. He can throw the ball a mile. So you could do so many things with him. And then when you have that type of explosive quarterback, you're going to be able to finally compete. And the Patriots, guess what? They suck. They suck at drafting. And Bill Belichick is a wizard in free agency. So those first-round picks, when have the Patriots even hit on a first-round pick? So that is the point. I think I do have to go to a Bills game next year. Top Streams, the only thing about going to a Bills game and whatever, the only thing is that if there's a Bills game at home and, I don't know if they're going to allow like 5% capacity, 10%. The only solace to losing in the playoffs is that maybe next year you get a full year of a dream season, meaning you can hit the road, you can attend every game you want, the pandemic will be over, and then you go out to LA for the Super Bowl and Bills Mafia can be together and watch a championship. That's the only constellation prize about losing late in the playoffs, is that with this year, it's been absolutely probably devastating. I know that the Bills fans are going to the airport, but the Bills fans are the most loyal and best fan base in all of the NFL and maybe in all of sports. And it is kind of devastating that Bills fans can't pack Foxborough and that they can't experience this all together. It's absolutely devastating. Yeah. Yeah. And I do see that. Alex, absolutely. Cam Newton too. Yeah, overrated, but just too many injuries. But Lalo Paz, I mean, you guys run a very modern system. You should try to get Zach Wilson. I don't know if it's going to happen. Then you look at Fields, who's all right. I even think that with Drew Lock, Lalo Paz, if you guys can swing a trade for him or even for Tua, I don't even know who's going to be available. Mitchell Trubisky, you never know. So the point is about what Alex says is about Daniel Jones. We're talking about Daniel Jones. Gonna go on for 5 or 10 more minutes, and curious to hear y'all's thoughts on the Patriots and him becoming, Greg Popovich. So the point about Jones is that I don't think Jones is the type of quarterback that these other guys are. And it's just so damn hard to win because defensively, you can only be so great defensively. The Steelers were great defensively. But again, it's so hard to cover these guys for 10 seconds. The rules in the NFL, you can even be less physical than guys are in college. So, I mean, it's unbelievably difficult to play and defend Josh Allen. So, but the point is about Daniel Jones is that Daniel Jones, yeah, he's all right. At best, he's like a top 20 quarterback. He's better than Dwayne Haskins. I think Locke is better than Daniel Jones. And there's only going to be like Mahomes and Allen are the only two guys that are like this. So the whole rest of the league is open for the Baker Mayfields of the world, for guys that can either run or they can throw. Like you look at Jalen Hurts, and he's not to the level of Allen and Mahomes because he'll never be able to throw like these guys can. So these guys are just the top of the top. But in terms of like Drew Lock, you can find an efficient offense. If you're able to find a running offense and you have Baker Mayfield and somehow your defense is just absolutely all world, 1 year you're going to get your shot to go to a Super Bowl. But Daniel Jones is not to the ability of Baker Mayfield. Daniel Jones is not to the ability of Justin Herbert, who's a really solid quarterback. I don't even think that Daniel Jones is Drew Lock, and I don't think that Daniel Jones is necessarily Tua or any of these guys. I think he could be better than Joe Burrow maybe, but the point is about like Daniel Jones is that he's not a top flight quarterback. He doesn't throw the deep ball well. He overthrows guys. He has limited arm strength, and his mobility is just about dead. And he cannot be. He's not an efficient thrower, and he certainly can't like run very. I mean, whatever. Yeah, he's a fast runner, but he's not. He's not the guy that in college is making guys miss running. He's not a scrambling. He's not a guy that's gonna like, when the play breaks down, he's not gonna make guys miss like a Kyler can make guys miss or a Josh Allen. I'm trying to think of other guys that are just elite, of course, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts is a guy that's so strong that you're going to, that he's going to burrow guys over. Same with Trey Lance is that guy. So Jones has such a ceiling. And KJ, yeah, I mean, the thing is that it was very hard. There's only the Bills are the one team in the league that outsmarted everybody. And that's why Bill Belichick said to McDermott, you're the king now. He basically admitted this year, you guys did it. And you deserve all the credit in the world, man. You've put in the time, and you guys had an unbelievable vision. And he had a conversation like, I don't have the pieces that you do. And it was unbelievable to see the greatest coach in the NFL just succumb to Sean McDermott like that and just say, you guys did it, man. You guys completely beat me. And he said, you guys did it. You guys own this division. And for me next year, it's going to take a ton of work, but I've never felt this way. And Bill Belichick, ever since he's gotten to New England, even with Matt Castle, they still won 11 games. He was always the king. He was the king for 20, 25 years. He was the king. And now there is a new king. And it's unbelievable. And like the Dynasty, 20 years of unbelievable greatness. So he is the greatest coach to ever coach football. And now the game has changed, and it's going to take some time for him to get adapting. And with the NFL and the salary cap, I mean, can he pull off the trade for Trey Lance to get himself back in the ball game? Can he find that quarterback? It's going to be unbelievable. But the point is about the Giants, or the Chargers were very, very lucky. The Chargers, they took Herbert. And by the way, everybody's like, Herbert sucks out of Oregon. I was the guy, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I was saying like, give Herbert a chance. He'll probably be pretty good. I didn't say Herbert was better than Tua, so I'm not going to be that guy who's like, I call Justin Herbert being a stud. But yeah, I was like, Herbert's better than Joe Burrow. I would have taken Tua, then I would have taken Herbert over Joe Burrow. I said that earlier. And Chargers fans, they were panicking. They're like, we're the Chargers. We're so stupid. We took Justin Herbert. He never won a national championship at Oregon. We're doomed. But you know what? Herbert's 6'6". He's a biology major. He's smart as heck. He has the perfect demeanor. And guess what? He's an absolutely insane athlete running around. He's just a unicorn in terms of his ability to throw the ball on the run, but his size and height and his speed, he's a unicorn quarterback as well, like Josh Allen. But the Giants, again, they just drafted Daniel Jones. Gettleman is kind of this old school mentality of run the football a little bit. And the Giants were trying to build their team, trying to get a pretty good team with Daniel Jones. And you know what? I can't blame Dave Gettleman for not being an absolute genius, because there's only a few geniuses in sports. And the Chargers, trust me, they're not one of them. They kind of lucked into this. By the way, the Chargers, they lucked into this freaking Justin Herbert pick. The Baltimore Ravens, like, if you see Lamar Jackson and he's an MVP, at number 25, you're not picking a tight end that you're going to trade 3 years later. Yo, you know what you're doing? You're trading up to number 10 because you're like, please, Arizona, please select Josh Rosen. Don't select Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens and Ozzie Newsome, and by the way, I'm sure Ozzie Newsome wouldn't have retired anyway They picked him last pick of the first round. Then they decided to build this absolute genius thing. Then Harbaugh got the wheels in motion. But the Bills and Brandon Beane, they selected Josh Allen. They picked up Brian Daboll. And they basically gave up last year because they sacrificed Josh Allen throwing interceptions last year because it was like they were planning this for years. They never ran the ball last year, guys. It was absurd. They would start off halves just throwing the football the whole time, and no one could see what the living heck they were doing. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank God, Washington Redskins, absolutely. Now, I don't think Fields has that, escapability of Lamar Jackson. And top streams, I mean, if you face Baltimore, I would give you a 60% chance to beat them, 40% chance you lose. Other than that, it's about a 68% chance to get to the final. I'll actually give you Baltimore. If it's Baltimore Buffalo, it's a nightmare because they're going to keep the ball away from Josh Allen. They're going to run the ball down the Bills' throat. It's going to be an ugly game. They're going to play ugly old school football. They're going to play it just like the Naval Academy play it. Taylor Heineke. You're right. He's playing well. Taylor Heineken. Oh, man. I'm probably going to wrap it up in about 4 minutes. I'll make this a 40-minute show. I don't have the stamina to go real deep like some guys can go 2 hours. The elite of the elite on YouTube can do that for sure. But I had so much tonight. Going 40 hours is a long time, or 40 minutes is a long time for me doing a stream, but the point is that it's unbelievable to look at Bill Belichick this way. The falling of an empire. And to see the Buffalo, I never could have dreamed Buffalo would go into New England and do that. I'm going to text my friend whose girlfriend's a Bills fan and say that right now. I never thought the Bills can go into Buffalo or can go into New England and do this. Ever in my life. I mean, I've been watching the Bills my whole life. And I even have friends here, in Pennsylvania that some of my dearest friends in the world are Buffalo Bills fans. Like the family friends that I consider like family to me. They're Buffalo, their dad's from Buffalo. And every year you suffer through bad quarterback play. You get excited when they're just in the hunt. And, you went through, and I'm sure top streams, and I'm sure, guys like Josh Clark that are out there, real Bills fans of the channel, you guys went through Trent Edwards. You went through Matt Castle and Tyrod. You went through JP Lossman and Fitzpatrick. Terrible quarterback since Jim Kelly. And by the way, when Andy Dalton completed that pass to Tyler Boyd when he was a rookie, the Bills fans donated over millions of dollars to Dalton's charity because it was the coolest thing that they even could make a wild card game. And even though they lost to the Jaguars and their offense couldn't do anything, for them to make the playoffs, they haven't won a playoff games in like 25 years. They're loyalists. They stay with their team. Again, it's a small town. It's great. It's not one of these huge markets where there's a million, college teams, a million distractions, where the fan base is all out on their boats during the games anyway. Buffalo, the Bills are a part of the city of Buffalo. And they've been through so many moments. There's been so many moments where the Buffalo Bills, when they went up to New England and they would either get blown out, which happened probably more often than not, or they'd have the game and they were not mentally tough enough to pull through. They'd be close, but you're never beating the king. You had the Leotis McKelvin game. The Bills would choke. They would choke the teams. Brady Quinn would throw 5 interceptions. They'd lose. Tony Romo would throw 5 picks. They would lose. That is the history if you are an older Buffalo Bills fan. That is the history of an old Buffalo Bills fan. So you guys absolutely deserve this, especially guys in their 20s that grew up watching these Bills team for the past, 15 years. So it's been fun. It's crazy to think about Belichick and this Bills team. It's wild. Thank you guys for joining. This was great. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and hope you enjoyed Monday night. We got a fun week 17. So I'll see you all later. Have a good couple days. Have a good time, and be good, guys. See ya.